This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. This week's episode is brought to you by Bruce Lish. He is one of the friends of the Magic Word, but I am pointing him out especially this week because he's going to be celebrating his birthday on June the 27th, which will be coming between now and the next podcast episode that we post. And he has requested that we give a special shout out, and he had given a special pledge also in order to get this little bit of a shout out, but I certainly want to do that. We're going to all together join in helping to sing a little birthday song to him at the end of this episode. So you want to stick around towards the end of this conversation to help join in and wish Dr. Bruce Lish a happy birthday. We did this last year for him then as well, and we're doing it again this year. It's a lot of fun, and I appreciate him being a friend of the Magic Word and for his financial support. And I thank all the friends of the Magic Word and those of you who might be considering becoming a friend of the Magic Word to just go and check out how you can become a friend and why it is that we need your financial support. While I'm on that subject, I also want to welcome Bill Flanagan, who recently pledged his support through patreon.com, and you can do that also just by going over to patreon.com/themagicword. And you can get some more information on how that you can help us and also receive some pretty cool perks along the way. Well, enough of that. Let's move on to this week's episode. I was working at the Magic Castle in Hollywood earlier this year, and while I was there, of course, there were a lot of other great magicians who were working that I had a chance to sit down and record some more in-depth episodes and with. We had some at-length conversations, one of which was someone who was working with me in the parlor and who also shared an apartment with me while we were there that week, and that's Ron Saylor. Ron has an interesting background in magic, and I thought what he has to share might be something that some of you might find of interest and might want to borrow his idea for his business model and to build something similar to this in your area. Now, last week we were talking about the Abra Kidabra, and that was a children's theater, and they gave the business model about how that you can plan something like that in your neck of the woods. Well, this week, Ron talks with us about his theater, Celebrities of Magic Theater in Bakersfield, California, which is several hours north of Los Angeles. Now, the important thing about this, I think it's interesting, is that Bakersfield is certainly not a tourist destination, nor it's really on the map for much of anybody to go there necessarily, but he has built a successful trade where people are coming and beating down the door, about a 100-seat theater that he has a couple of times a month that people come in and has regular guests and a variety of magicians who come in and perform there. So I think it's kind of an interesting theater and concept that he has, and one perhaps you might be interested in as well. We kick off our conversation this week actually talking about Tiki Rooms and Tiki Bars, which we have a mutual interest in, and so we kick off this week's episode chatting just about that. So please welcome my guest this week, Mr. Ron Saylor, here on The Magic Word. This week at the Magic Castle, I've got a friend, Ron Saylor, who is from Bakersfield, California, just up the road a few hours, is working the parlor late, and I'm working the early shift there, and we have some time, and it wasn't just that, but also I've been wanting to get together with talk to him for a while for a variety of reasons because of what an interesting life he has and being a magician and a musician, and some of our similar interests, and I think it'd be something for you people or someone, for you listeners to meet also. I'm often approached by people saying, I didn't know the person you were interviewing this week. However, now I've made a new friend, and hopefully you will make a new friend after listening to this episode with my good friend, and here he is right now, Ron Saylor. Hey there, Ron.
Greetings. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Before we get started over here, well, we are starting. I want to talk about tiki lounges. For just
Sure.
We earlier had gotten this, we met up with a guy, and he sold you this this wheel from the Jungle Cruise and everything. We're talking about tikis. Do you like tiki rooms or something, or tiki bars, or what's the thing about tikis?
So tiki bars is the deal. It's a little bit of a phenomenon right now.
It is.
It's kind of a trend thing, but it kind of goes in waves. Ha! That was funny.
Oh, I get it.
Yes, it was unintentional, but
almost like humor.
Yes. So in Bakersfield, which is, as you mentioned, it's literally 2 hours north of the castle in Hollywood. So I live in Bakersfield, and we have one of the nation's top 10 tiki bars.
Really? I would not have thought that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something you'd guess for Bakersfield. You think of country music and Buck Owens and Merle Haggard. Those are all Bakersfield names of the past. But we have an incredible tiki bar, 2-floor. It's called Tiki Co. upstairs and the Sinking Ship downstairs. And it's one of the nation's top 10. What can I say? So next time you're coming to town, I'll have to take you there. I take everyone there now. And when I go to Vegas, I go to Golden Tiki and Frankie's. And, exactly. So we all, and even, Disney in Anaheim has whatever that is.
In the Tiki Room. In the Tiki.
Well, I was referring to Trader Sam's, which is at the hotel, which actually has alcohol.
Like a real tiki room.
Yes, it's tiki bar. But yes, so we have this beautiful one in town that we frequent. I am a member of their mug club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, every single Wednesday you can find me at the bar in Bakersfield. It's
wow. Yeah. Well, every single time
except when we're at the castle. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, it didn't work out.
When I am in Las Vegas, same thing. I always make it a point at least once to go to Frankie's Tiki Room, and usually with James DeMayer, and I'll go over there to smoke a couple of cigars. And
nice. I didn't know that. See, I'm also a cigar friend.
Aficionado.
Yes. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So that
more I learn.
A great place. In fact, the last time I was there, it was funny. At Vegas, I think, or last time I saw Paul Richards, who is a dealer, and Paul said, "Hey, I saw your name recently." I said, "Where was that?" And he said, "At Frankie's." He said, "So I was in the urinal. I was in the men's room. I was standing there, and there's your sticker right in front of me, staring me in the face, saying Scott Wells Magic Word Podcast."
Yes, I think of you when I'm standing at the urinal.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm everywhere. So
that's good.
So if you are going to Frankie's, look for me there, men. So aside from that, it was interesting. And when he turned me on to that place, it's great. Now, I heard about the other place in Vegas. It was, what do you call it, the Golden
Tiki, yeah.
Which is more commercial and not kind of authentic as what the Frankie's is.
I suppose. I think Frankie's is one of the first.
Yeah.
So that's why. And they're great. And there's others, too. But Golden Tiki is famous for having literal shrunken heads.
That's down on the Strip, right? Or whereabouts is that located? Do you know? Is it near downtown or near?
Let me see.
Or is it in a hotel, in a casino, or
no,
is it standalone?
It's standalone.
Okay.
And I'm drawing a blank. I'll have to look up the address. But yes, they have shrunken heads on the wall,
real to life. Wow.
Which is kind of crazy. They're able to display those, and so that's. But the drinks are good too.
Well, what James had told me about the Tiki Rooms, the way that they developed them to begin with was from after World War II, when those who had come in from the Pacific, the Navy, the sailors had said about how, with your last name being Saylor, that makes sense, of course. Yeah. Not spelled the same way, however, that the sailors would go in, they had created something to give them that feeling of the South Pacific kind of a thing, which is why there are no windows, because they don't want the outside world to kind of invade or to look out and see cars go by.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the inside, you have those tiki idols and carved pagan gods and of course, bamboo and straw and everything, and then the wild kinds of drinks, not just Mai Tais, but stuff that has a lot of alcohol.
A little bit, yeah. We also, in town, I know I'm going to give you a whole Bakersfield culture now, but in town we also have a pho restaurant. It's called Maui Pho. The owners of the restaurant are from Maui, and so on Wednesday they turn it into Hawaiian Day, and every Wednesday, Wednesdays in Bakersfield. I just
guess so.
I'm learning this right now as I'm saying it out loud. Anyway, they turn it into Wednesday Day, and then all authentic Hawaiian dishes. So you can go, total Tiki Out on Wednesdays in my town. And,
Wow. Now I always think of Bakersfield as being an oil and gas
sure.
place.
No, we still are. Yeah, Bakersfield, we produce, I'm not sure where it is today, but at times in our history, recent history, as a matter of fact, we've produced more oil than Texas and Alaska. So Bakersfield, Kern County is California's best kept secret because, we're the big environmental state. So hush, hush, we don't want to talk about all the oil we produce in California.
Right.
But we do. We actually do.
That's got to pay a lot of taxes. I'm sure that the state appreciates that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they'll tell you that, we have these high gas prices in California because of a shortage. But in my backyard, there's 1,000 oil wells. So I'm not quite sure. Anyway, that's a different podcast.
Because I always, again, think of that as being kind of in the middle of nowhere. It seems like that God has put these fossil fuel resources in the middle of nowhere, like in West Texas and the deserts and different places in the Rockies, where you have to crack in order to get to the oil.
There they are, so. and they're off of these just drops. They don't. When I say this, I know people get the immediate visual that you drive through Bakersfield and all you see is oil wells. That's not true at all. They're off of bluffs and they're
so it is kind of hilly.
Yeah. So that's so that you don't see those. You see a metropolis city in the city, but
it's kind of middle of nowhere. I mean, there's no other larger cities probably within 100 miles of Bakersfield, right?
Sure, I suppose. We're because we have 500,000 people living there.
Because you're driving up the coastline, what's that called? Where a lot of nuts, almonds and a lot of fruit also is grown up along that way that supplies the rest of the state and the world. Or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, we definitely have our almond farms,
avocados.
I suppose, some avocado farms too. Mostly famous for almonds, though, and carrots.
Carrots?
Yes, every baby carrot you see in every grocery store across the nation. Look at the bag; it'll say from Bakersfield, California.
Do they grow baby? I always thought those were just carved out of regular sized carrots.
They're carved for sure, but they're harvested differently.
Really?
But anyway, go back to Texas and you'll see your baby carrots came from Bakersfield.
Yeah. I'll be doggone. So that's a big place there for that. Interesting. Didn't know that about that. Well, anyhow.
Crazy. And we have magic there, too.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And speaking of magic, that's something I want to talk about is that you have the Celebrities of Magic Theater. So this has been going on for like about 12 years, which is amazing. That's as long as I've been having this podcast.
Thanks.
So you've been doing it monthly, and I do mine weekly, so mine is a lot more tough than yours.
I agree with that. I'm a full-time performer. You're a full-time performer there as well. Correct, so see, I don't even know how you do a weekly podcast over that. But so once a month, I produce the Celebrities of Magic series. You can check that out online, celebritiesofmagic.com. And
you got a Facebook page, too.
Facebook, of course, and all other social medias. I rent out a local theater in town. I rent out the Gaslight Melodrama and Music Hall Theater.
Which throughout the rest of the month does what?
It's one of 2 full-time melodrama theaters in California.
When you say melodrama, you mean like villain and hero kind of thing?
Boo the villain.
Yeah, stow popcorn at the...
all the old school 19th century
vaudeville
theater. So it's a perfect theater for magic. It has...
Got a pit?
No. So it has... it's a 45 by 55 stage with the 4 wings, and the theater itself is large enough. It's really a 300-seat theater, but there's tables between every 4 chairs, so they only seat 130 people in the theater. But everything is intimate, so it's close enough. But I've brought illusionists to the stage,
and they serve food or just popcorn.
Stadium food,
like
pizza, nachos, popcorn, beer and wine, and yeah.
Okay, so don't come to have dinner there. Come just kind of have snacks and a beer and watch a show.
Yeah, good stuff. Gotcha. And they let me rent the theater out once a month. And
there are other variety acts that come in as well throughout the year or throughout the month, or is it just the melodrama and you are the only?
So, no, there's one other guy that rents it. He's a children's puppeteer. Huh. He rents it maybe twice a year and does like Little Red Riding Hood puppet plays, things like that. Very young audience. But the melodrama itself, they do 4 shows a week minimum, during the Christmas holidays. They'll do.
So they've already got a
every
good
single night
group of people who have paved a path, if you will, to the place. So people are used to coming there.
Yes, and then so that helps. And then
yes.
Obviously I do my own marketing, and I'm part of their email blasts and their newsletters, and it's been a wonderful adventure. So for 12 years, I've brought magicians, goodness, from everywhere to be a part of the series now. Jeff McBride and Kevin James and Simon Coronel and I 130 plus magicians over the last 12 years have been part of the show. So.
Wow! And the show lasts how long?
It's always an hour. I try to keep it an hour. We want to keep it kid friendly because it's on a Monday, and so we want to get the people in and out, and so they'll bring the family. And I do 2 seasons a year. This has always been my format. I do 6-month seasons, and with no break. So we do 2 seasons a year. I borrowed that formula from Survivor. Me and the TV show Survivor are the only two seasons
band,
a year.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think the 2 seasons a year is a good thing. And so and my season ticket holders, they get the best seats. Obviously, they get their seat choices first, and they buy 5 shows, get 1 free, and it's worked out very well.
Good. 7, 8 o'clock. What time is
7:30? The show kind of starts. We always hold the show 5 minutes because people are strolling in at the door.
They do that in Broadway also.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then they're out of the theater by 9 because if the performer is doing an hour and I'm doing coming attractions and minor comedy bit in the beginning of the show, whatever I'm doing to warm the audience.
You're the host, basically.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
I MC all the shows unless I am working at another theater, which had happened this week. So while I'm here performing at the Castle, my wife hosted the show with Dana Daniels, was just on Monday night while we were here.
So do these people contact you long in advance? So you have, like, let's say right now, the next 3 months, or how far in advance do you book?
Yeah, this is a bad problem. It's a great problem for me, not good for the performers. My shows become so popular that I am booked over a year out all the time.
A year?
Now.
Holy moly, man.
Oh yeah.
Good for you.
But it's great for me, but I feel bad for the performers.
But you got some people, I'm sure, in reserve just in case somebody bails out the last minute, gets sick or whatever.
Yes, over the last 135 some odd shows, I've had 2 cancellations.
Okay.
So it's that's rare, but people do say that. They'll say, "Well, if it happens, put me up for that." And I guess now recently, it hasn't even happened yet because it's on next season. So recently, for next season's bookings, I did have one performer. I guess I need to start this story with a different one. So most of the time, I book 1 act for up to an hour show, but I also do book 2 shorter acts to perform together. So if somebody has an incredible 15, 20 minutes, 30-minute show, but they don't want to do an hour, I'll book 2 of those performers together. So all of my performers that because the show is called Celebrities of Magic, the bar is high, right? So as long as they're an award-winning performer and Magic Castle recognized and, blah, 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 we all have our friends in the magic community.
Right.
This limits the well for me to pull from, but it's perfect for the name Celebrities of Magic. Okay, so having said that, I need to get the best of the best. And so that dramatically drops the amount of cancellations right off the bat.
Right.
So next season, I had 1 show coming up where I had 2 shorter acts booked for the same show. And one of those shorter acts needed to back out. Not a problem. I understand. So the other person who really wanted to do the full hour show, I said, it's yours now if you want it, and I won't book another shorter act. And of course he jumped on it. And so he walked into the full 2 hour set, which is great.
Right.
I can't wait for that anyway. So that
right.
worked out.
What are you looking for? It doesn't matter whether they are I guess a silent act can't really be silent for a full hour or anything necessarily.
Sure.
But do you have a stage large enough for illusionists to come in?
Yeah, I definitely have had illusionists on the stage. I have David Goldrake coming next month.
Okay.
And he's, I don't know if he's. I have to. As I just said, we just did Dana Daniels on Monday, so now comes the time where I go over all of the set list with the next act and so on. So I need to find out if David is bringing his water torture cell because I need to find out the weight capacity of that and so on. There's,
oh boy, sure.
Yeah, but I'm definitely for large illusions. This stage is perfect for it. I've done large illusions on it myself, so it works out great.
What kind of illusions do you do?
I have. I used to do full-on large illusion shows. I don't tour that much anymore. So, but I still have a Willie Kennedy bits and pieces that I love, and I have. I have a Blueprint. There's two illusions called Blueprint, so this is where it gets confusing. But I have the Blueprint that was designed for Princess Stephanie. Elaine Choquette performed it with Princess Stephanie on Championship of Magic, where there were two boxes. She comes out of the illusion is it is a blueprint of an illusion. So the illusion is created live on the stage, and once it's finally put together, she comes out of nowhere. So it's a beautiful prop. I still perform that when needed, and then. What else? Things I can't do in California anymore. I have Dan Sperry says I have the single most badass fire spiker on the planet.
Okay. Wow, I've seen the fire spikers. I thought, what is yours?
Mine looks like a medieval
torture
chamber. Yes. And the flames are huge and the spikes are long, and it's something that California is not going to be happy with me performing.
They don't like you doing fire?
Anytime in the near future, sure. But I have performed it, actually. I did perform it on the top floor of the Beverly Hills Hilton not a couple years ago, probably 10 years ago now. I think this time this story gets old fast. But I was asked to perform for the Prince of Saudi Arabia. Which is,
or at least he said he was the Prince of Saudi Arabia.
He and his harem were there. So but and we did a full hour-long illusion show there. And when I was booked for that, I actually said, "You're never going to get a permit for me to perform this," because they had specific things they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do this and that and appear. Can you appear behind the prince magically? And I said, yes, as long as you tell his security guards not to shoot me.
Yeah. Yeah, surprise.
I'm going to, appear out of nowhere. And of course, and everything was great. But they said, don't worry about the permit. You bring the props and we'll worry about the fire permit. I doubt if they ever, they were just, money is no object.
That's what I thought. Yeah, we'll handle it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So inside the Beverly Hills Hilton, I had this fire torture cell going off. And,
I know that a lot of theaters have things that they don't want you to do, confetti, because it can get into the system, or there might be fire or whatever. Or if they do have to have fire, some require, by fire code, you have to have a fire marshal present, or you have to have a permits, and some do, some don't. It gets to be kind of crazy. I was just talking with Gabe Blackstone about the upcoming taping that they'll be doing for season 10 of Masters of Illusion, and she was saying this new season, because the network has new ownership, CBS owns part of it, but some other people have the other part. Anyhow, for whatever reason, she cannot use fire. So a lot of things they had planned on doing are scrapped. So they kind of got to go back to the drawing board, and they're going to start filming within 2 weeks. So it's a little bit of a challenge that kind of gets thrown in your way from time to time like that. So I would think there might be some issue, that when you can't do that. But if you know you can't use it, well, then you tell people in advance, of course. That's
right. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
So
that's right.
So things like that sit in my storage unit. I have 2 storage units full of larger props.
As I've gotten older, as I aged, I should say, my wife was telling me at the time you just need to scale back and do less and less. Because I used to do sub-trunks. We did doves and rabbits. We did zigzag and a lot of other illusions as well, just kind of the standard things. But the point is that's just a lot of hauling in and out, of stuff. And as you get older, realize you can entertain just as much without the larger illusions.
Right.
So when you're young and you can jump around or in and out, that's one thing, So
Yeah.
and so since you're in an enviable position, kind of as the impresario, I guess, of the celebrities of magic, you can have other people doing illusions, so you don't have to schlep things in and out yourself to do something.
My retired straitjacket hangs proudly inside the California Magic Dinner Theater.
Okay. On display.
On display.
Yeah.
Autographed hanging on the wall.
You used to be able to fit in that.
Yes,
too, also.
there it is, right there. Yeah.
So again, going back, how do people contact you? So even though it's a year in advance, saying, okay, I understand it won't be until 24, but how can they get in touch with you if they want to send you a tape or whatever?
Sure. So my phone number, 661-809-4826. RonSaylor.com. Find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. And
I guess Saylor.
Yes, Saylor. Somebody couldn't spell sometime in my past. And, so really easy to find.
They just send you a copy of a video or something, a link to, or something you can see what you want to do. Or,
let me know. And I have a commitment to my season ticket holders, obviously. So what I do for them is I promise them that all 6 shows in a season will be completely different. Mm-hmm. Because in our art, obviously, there's duplications and similarities and so on. So that's the best way I can handle it. So those 6 shows will be completely different. So I will have a comedian magician, and then I'll have an illusionist, I'll have a mentalist, and I'll have a sleight of hand therapist for the sleight of hand artist. And yes. And so then the next season I'll, book 6 more acts that have those things. Mm-hmm. So yes. So if I have an abundance of production artists applying all at once, then those poor souls, I'm only going to be able to get one of the too many.
When people come in, I assume they fly into L.A. and drive up, or I take that back. I know there's an airport in Bakersfield. It's a smaller.
Yeah,
airport.
We do have I think Burbank is the
closest,
the favorite airport for people to fly into. But we have an airport in Bakersfield that we have a couple of direct flights that people come.
The Southwest
straight in. No, that's the key. Southwest does not come to Bakersfield. It's United and American, but I don't know. Some people want to be in the series because they've learned about it and they've heard great things about it, and I'm so thankful for all of this news. But I always tell people that I don't want you to lose your shirt coming to the show.
Right.
So it's only 100-seat theater, and I'm very fair with the pricing. I have a deal with the theater that basically we do a 3-way split. Till there's a cap. There is a cap because I don't want to be, paying the theater thousands in rent unnecessarily. But so we split the money 3 ways. The theater, me, and the act split the money 3 ways until we hit the cap. And so while I do pay better than every other theater in my area, and I say my area, meaning the West Coast, all of California, and a couple states thereafter, it's still, if you're coming from New York to be in my show,
not cost efficient.
It's
you need to do
not
something else.
cost efficient. Yeah, you better also get booked at the Castle or someplace else too, because otherwise you're losing your shirt. But I also have had magicians fly from abroad because they're like, I want to be in there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm thankful, and I'm always amazed. And my audience loves it, and they're so appreciative. But it's humbling.
Do you have
is.
video cameras then also, so you could have the close-up guys have some MyMag so everybody can see that on the screen or not?
No. Okay. So with this theater, when I say they only can seat 130, I mean it's taken up every space in the room. Uh-huh. So for the performer, if they want to have footage shot of themselves for future use, my tech, I have like the world's greatest tech that runs my show. He's been my right-hand man for 12 years. Uh-huh. I used to say he rivaled Brian at the Castle. You've worked with Brian at the Palace stage at the Magic Castle. Well, Brian no longer works at the Castle,
right?
Which means I have the best.
Okay. By default.
By default, right? So anyway, yes. So my tech, who runs my lights and soundboard and everything all at once for me up in the booth, He also will record video for the performers upon their request. But other than that, there's not even a place to put a camera. We can't. There's nothing in the room that would work out. So it's like I said, it's a wonderful problem.
Do you provide lodging for the one night as well?
I do not.
Okay, so they're on their own.
They are on their own. Now I do in my house. I have a beautiful guest room that's all decorated in magic for the magic.
But you don't put
performers.
up everybody. I mean, from time to time, occasionally you have.
Yeah. So it works out that because people frequent my guest room, as you can imagine, so I'm not able to offer it to everyone.
Sure.
So I don't promise it, but if I know that nobody is borrowed the space or requested it, then I'll offer it.
Right.
But yeah, I don't offer any hotel accommodations.
Whenever I have lectures that I book, they come through Houston. If I'm in Houston, I'm not traveling, then I will have them stay at my house rather than staying somewhere place else.
There you go.
Which
so
also,
same kind of a deal.
Yeah. In my case, it's really for my personal advantage that I get to then chat with them for.
Nice.
So a lot of people who have been on the
in their
podcast,
future.
That's correct. If they lecture, they're also going to be on the podcast.
Nice.
And so people get to meet new friends like they are perhaps then with you, then as well. The reason I wanted to go in a little bit of detail about that is because there are so many people I talk to on a regular basis who are looking for theaters and places for them to have, if you will, a residency, so they don't have to keep traveling all the time or doing one-off shows for this corporation or another or trying to do something. But if they can kind of stay in one place or do that. And it is a difficult thing. Was this a dream or something that fell in your lap, or did you go out with a concerted effort to interview with different places, or how did this come about? And what do you recommend? How do people to go about this?
That is a great question. It really is. So for me, so I've always been a performer. I never wanted to be a producer. And so I was asked by another theater. Okay, so again, Bakersfield. Who knew? We have a theater district. We have 7 theaters in Bakersfield.
Wow, I would not have thought that.
Nobody thinks of that, right? And
what's the population there? About 350,000 or something? Or
750,000, including the
surrounding
outskirts.
Area.
Yeah. So it's I think
the metropolitan area, basically.
Yes. So it's its own little hole in the wall community of over 500,000 people living in the city.
Wow, with 7 theaters.
Yes, and that doesn't include the arena. We have
of course,
hockey teams and stadium for the concerts and so on, and a Fox theater as well. And so so you get the idea. So one of another theater, a little shoebox theater that we had in town. I was doing a couple of different larger theater shows. And so whenever I would do this show in various cities, I'd always come back to our Fox Theater, which seats 1,500, and I would bring that show to that theater.
Okay.
And so the third time I did that, I was approached by another theater owner. This is after that. And he asked me if I would like to do a monthly show of me at his theater. He wanted me to become his resident magician. And I said, I don't want to see me every month. Why would I want
Even my wife didn't want to see me that often.
Yeah, that's too much. And so in Bakersfield, we're not a tourist town at all. So we live in the city, and then we drive to Hollywood if we're going to see something touristy, or go to Anaheim for Disney, or anything like that.
Yeah, Knott's Berry Farm or whatever.
Awesome. But yeah, nobody comes to Bakersfield for tourist attractions. So
it's usually on business. That's why I always think of Bakersfield as really being a business, again, being the energy business. It's someplace that...
Right, exactly. Yeah, so that's it. So, So he said, well, what about a variety show? Could you produce a variety show here? And I said, well, now we're talking. Now let me think about this. I have friends in the magic community. Let me see what kind of interest I could drive up, and we'll talk. And I put the word out to a couple of friends, and it instantly blew up.
I can see how that it would, from the standpoint that you are, again, a couple hours from the Magic Castle. If someone's working as we do from Monday through Sunday, then the following Monday they just stick around for another night.
That is exactly right. At the time, that was really easy because people would be booked at the castle 6 months in advance, and I was booking, weeks in advance, and so it's now the opposite. But I know a couple of performers, and I'm not trying to promise anything, and I don't even pitch this, but I know a couple of performers have reached out to the castle and they've said, I am booked at Celebrities of Magic on such and such date. Can can I be booked at this? And I don't know how well it's worked out, what the percentage rate is, but I know that
Jack
Goldfinger
is familiar with what's going on there.
Yes,
obviously.
Yeah, he is familiar with my series, so yeah, that's nice.
So it sounds like you have a good working relationship then with the theater.
Yeah, it's been
you
good.
like them, and you kind of scratch each other back with the three different breakout.
Yeah,
splitting it a three-way.
Yeah, rent continues to go up.
Yeah,
ouch. But hopefully that'll taper off as we get through this inflation disaster we're going through right now.
Right, right. And do you pretty much, because of the way this has developed over the years, have it all sold out? I mean, I assume between not just your season ticket holders, but other people. Even if they don't show up, you've already been paid. That's the advantage of the season ticket holders. I mean, you got cash in hand, regardless of whether they show up or not.
I will tell you that there are people in my audience that have seen my show more times than I have. So, yes.
Wait. They've seen your show more times than you have.
Yes.
You've seen your own show.
Because I have been booked at other theaters.
I got you. I meant you personally. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I know. Not even me performing, but I'm my celebrity series.
Got you. I'm sorry.
So, even though you're right, if they don't show up, it would be an empty seat. I don't want empty seats.
So you try to resell that?
So no, I don't. I tell my season ticket holders that if you can't come, give your ticket away. Make it transferable. I don't care. I think it's good advertising.
We'd rather have people in the seats than not.
I have never followed the model that you can't take photos in my shows. I don't follow the model that you can't transfer tickets. I just don't understand these rules. I'd rather have the theater full. I'd rather have people shooting pictures for me. So they're putting it on social media. They're giving me free advertisement.
That's right.
It all makes sense to me. So, so all of this is good free advertising. Consequently, we sell out almost every single show.
Wow.
Maybe that is the new model. I don't know.
That is
maybe I should not tell that on the podcast. It's my secret no longer, right?
Is that part of the contract with their performers, of saying you got to be good with people taking pictures during your show? Because some people are not.
You know what? Okay, so I used to. Again, this is we've been doing the series for 12 years. So I used to, because 12 years ago it was taboo to take a picture during a magic show,
especially video as well.
Oh yeah, we still don't allow video.
Okay,
that's touchy because now you can
put it on YouTube and whatever.
Yeah, and you catch a magician's mistake,
right.
And
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't allow video. That's true, but I just out of respect for the art. But I used to ask the magicians, "Hey, you're going to be booked in the show. You don't mind if people, not with a flash cube, obviously I don't want to destroy the show, but if they're on their cell phone to take a picture." And no magician said, no, they can't do it. So again, whether they were being just polite or whether we all feel the same way and we're just following this taboo law, nobody had a problem with it. So I stopped asking. I just, after years of me getting, no, not a problem, please take pictures all you like, I stopped asking. And, it's been great.
I remember in Murray's show at the Laugh Factory there at the Tropicana, where you and I have both worked and helped.
Love Murray, yeah.
Yeah.
He's also been in Celebrities of Magic.
Has he? Okay. Yeah. I like what he says, where he would say, take all the pictures and no flash or whatever, like the first 10 minutes or so. It seems like I think that he was the one who said this. But then after 10 minutes, please put the phones away and be, fine to put this on Twitter and let everybody know, but just for the enjoyment of the rest of the audience, so you're not obstructing someone's view by holding up the camera or perhaps the light coming on or whatever.
There you go.
Enjoy the show for the next 40 minutes. But the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you're allowed to do this and take as many as you want. And then...
That's a great idea. So he's encouraging the free advertising. He's
Correct.
going to get the free advertising, And it's a win-win because they put the cameras down after 10 minutes.
Right. And so then pay attention. So this way that you can enjoy the show rather than seeing it through your lens of your camera. It's
very smart.
You know. On the other hand, that I've heard some people say, well, I was just talking with Luis Tomatos over in Portugal, and he's just the opposite of saying, no way. He said, I think when people buy a ticket for my show, I shouldn't be also having them serve as my advertising agent. Otherwise I should be paying them to help advertise. So I don't ask them to take pictures and feel free to post because I feel like then they are doing work. They've already paid for a ticket, so why should they pay more to give me free advertising? I kind of disagree, but that's his philosophy. I mean, I'm saying there's a gamut of different people who
I've never asked people to post things for me, so I guess...
Well, they're going to naturally.
But they're going to.
That's why they're taking the picture.
Yeah. People want to tell their friends where they've been.
I was here, I did this, I ate this. Right.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. Like we've been doing.
Why not?
That is what it's about. What do you do as far as social media? What do you use everything that you can? I mean, Twitter, or do you use TikTok? Or
I have not broken into TikTok. Isn't that funny that you say that? Facebook always, and then infrequently Instagram is my number 2. But yeah, TikTok. More and more friends are jumping on that bandwagon. I guess I probably need to look into that.
I'm just the opposite. I was an early advocate of that, again, because Murray that had jumped in on it, and I thought that's kind of cool. And then I heard about how the Chinese have got your information. Maybe I just became a conspiracy theorist. I thought,
there you go.
So within a few months, I got off and haven't used it for years. But it's
so you're off Google now too, right?
It's good point. Good point. So it's one of those things that has kind of blown up, and then of late, as we've been listening to the news. As we're sitting here today, I don't know what the status is going to be in the future, but they were talking about, at least for the government, employees to make sure that they have TikTok removed from all their instruments.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
Because of the same reason. They said this is owned by the Chinese and et cetera.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway, people got different philosophies.
Sure. Facebook's been good to me.
To me, too.
Yeah.
There have been others who said, I'm off Facebook for a variety of reasons. But again, everybody has their own things. How about YouTube? Have you used YouTube very much?
Sure. Yeah, back in the day, I used it a lot more than I do now. When I was always promoting my illusion shows. Yeah, you can see me in my younger days. All my illusion videos are still sitting out there on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Under Ron Saylor or Sailor Magic.
Are some of the videos also include you as a musician on YouTube?
Yes, just goofing off.
Okay. But not as part of like a band or doing anything.
For those of you that do not know, in my younger days, I was actually a musician. I still am a musician and magician, but the two worlds rarely collide. So I had a very brief professional career playing music.
Worldwide. That's what's impressive to me.
Well, not worldwide.
Well, goodness, you toured Europe.
I did. I'm very happy to say I got to perform professionally throughout 9 countries in Europe. It was one of the highlights of my life, no doubt about it.
Sure. You weren't married at the time, I guess. You were single, or
I was single. Yes.
So you had the flexibility to do all that.
Yes. Then I got married. And my wife didn't like the arts, and enough of that. You'll stay home, and those days are over. That's my ex-wife. I've actually been happily married for 29 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. But you probably know my ex. She's more famous than I am.
Who's that?
Satan. Okay, that's the 2010th time I've told that joke.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anyway, so
that's
yes,
right, because you played the drums, so that you hit the rim shot.
So I did give up the arts I got the evil world of management after that, and I was good as a manager. I got into upper management and what have you, but I gave all that up to become a magician, and obviously with
what was it that flipped your switch to say enough of this corporate world? I'm going this way, or was that always a dream, and then the stars aligned such that you could follow that path?
So yeah, so I've played drums since I was 5, and I've done magic since I was 9.
All right.
So both are with me today, right?
Sure.
There it is. So I should have been one of the other, my whole life. But when I decide, okay, so I will tell you, I was HR, the world's most evil profession. I would fly around state to state firing people.
You were the hatchet man, huh?
Yes, George Clooney played me in the movie.
Yep.
If you saw Up in the Air.
Up in the Air.
It wasn't really about me, but I was just like, oh my gosh, there I am on film.
Wow, you could relate to that.
Yeah, awful. And so, but everyone called me the magician. I was always doing magic, just for fun, but not
to your employees or with.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. With no ambitions to go pro,
Yeah.
but that's what I would do. And then one November, I flew into a facility, and I got there, and the guy's like, "Oh gosh, you're going to fire people today, aren't you?" And I'm like,
They don't like to see you coming.
"Yeah." And he's like, "Well,
They knew why you were there.
Yeah, but I'm alive because I was a magician." So he would say, "You're coming to fire people. I know you are. Show me a trick."
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least they knew I was. It wasn't me. It was just my job.
Yeah.
So but anyway, so this one November after I, destroyed the last family's life I was going to destroy before Christmas.
Yeah.
I got on a plane, and I broke down on the plane. I sobbed all the way back to my home on the plane. Awful story, but that's okay. It's worth telling. Because not only was I ruining other people's lives, I was ruining my own soul. Mm-hmm. I could not do it anymore. So I got off the plane, and I got home, and I said, "Honey, I'm going to be a magician." And she said, "Would you like a Corvette with your midlife crisis?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And my deal to her was, no, this is not a midlife crisis. First of all, I was too young at the time to have a midlife crisis, if you do the math. So I said, "Here's the deal. We know I'm good at this. I have this much money I could put into it.
Right.
Give me 12 months. I won't quit my day job. And at the end of 12 months, if it doesn't pay off, I'll never bring it up again. And if it does, I'll know I was right." And a year later, I retired everything but magic.
Wow.
So it was a fair trade.
That had to be just, again, a soul-crushing job. There are people who are kind of cut out for that kind of a thing, and I would think it'd be like somebody working in Vice for the police department with, child molestation or
Can you imagine?
trafficking,
Oh, no.
human trafficking.
Not for me.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do
Well,
this.
anyone with the heart of a performer cannot do that. Because we want to make people laugh.
Right.
We want to see their smile from the stage. And, and if we're going to bring them tears of joy, but goodness, yeah, it was just, it's an evil profession. I've always said that.
Wow.
I didn't say it at the time that I got hired for it, but as I quickly learned, you work for a vice president that hands you a list, says, "Here, fly to Arizona, fire these 12 people, let me know how it went."
Yeah. I'm not going to do it, but here's your job. You go do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that had to be pretty tough. Yeah, well, it's a lot different. So you can go out and actually make people smile and come to the shows and everything. So do you, as with most magicians, do a little bit of close-up as far as cocktail parties as well as stand-up or after-dinner corporate things and trade shows and all that stuff as well? Do you do birthday parties for kids and, the whole gamut or what?
These days, I'll do a child's party once in a blue moon. I'm kind of out of that price range, but
Well, you and I are on the same wavelength on all that.
yeah. So if people want to pay me to do a kid's show, what I charge, then God bless them, and
Yep.
I'm happy to do it. But I am higher priced than most people in my area.
With nearly 1 million people in your area, are there other magicians in and around Bakersfield that you can say, "Hey, here's who I recommend for birthday
absolutely.
parties"? And so,
Oh, yeah. We have some good fellow magicians in our area that's great. So, but yes, whenever I'm booking like a corporate show, and they want to see a stage show or parlor show or my mentalism show or whatever, I always say, "Would you like me also to do a 2-hour strolling magic teaser?" And they're like, "Oh, what is that?"
Yeah.
And so it's a great add-on. So I'll do 2 hours of strolling magic throughout the cocktail hours and such, and then do my show. And now the price went way up, and we're all having a good time.
Well, that was something I learned a long time ago that was on a cassette tape with Michael Lamar, about
You
the
said
art.
cassette tape. It had to have been.
It was about the art of negotiations.
There you go.
I had learned then about how that you would add or subtract. And for those who may not be familiar with what I'm talking about, they're essentially when someone asks you about what your price is, and they'll say, well, that sounds okay, that I can go with that. And then you'll say, well, and I can also, for an additional fee, do some strolling. How much is that? Okay, this is going to be a total for that. And they'll say, okay, well, and then also I can add, if you want, I can have my own sound system, so this way you don't have to pay for the hotel to bring in the sound and everything. And it'll be cheaper than the hotel is going to be charging you, or the country club or whatever, for that. And so you just keep adding until finally they say, well, I don't think we need that part of the package. You add until they finally say, ouch.
Sure.
On the other hand, obviously, you get some people who are going to be saying, ooh, that sounds like a lot. Say, yeah, but you don't know. That also includes, I'll bring my own sound, so you don't have to pay for that. Or I've got my lights, or I'm going to have a curtain, and normally I would charge extra for this, but that is something that's included in the same package. And until they finally say, oh, well, that sounds like it's a good deal. I'm getting all these add-on features, basically. So it depends upon, in negotiating, how to get the price you want. So if you ask for a price, you'll always get it, well, pretty much always get it, by just adding or subtracting.
Excellent. Yep. No, great advice.
So when you're performing, obviously you're doing illusions sometimes as well.
Rarely anymore.
Okay.
I still have them, and there's that debate now, because I'm at that spot now where I'm still paying for the storage space,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so obviously illusion shows, it's a much higher dollar point.
Exactly.
But I still, have to add in that cost of the storage. So sooner or later, it's going to get to the point where it's
Right.
the wrong side of the curve.
That's right.
And then when it hits that wave point, now I got to get rid of the illusions. It's no longer profitable.
As a businessman, do you have that price in mind, so you know when it's going to hit that? Saying, okay, I got to sell off the illusions, or I'm going to close that,
Yeah.
or take them out of storage, or
Yeah, it's actually a real, for me, it worked out really well, because I've had my storage units a while and such. But if I do a year without a large illusion show, then it's not profitable.
that makes sense. I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's got to pay for itself.
So one illusion show a year takes care of all my storage units
For the year.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm. And so 2 or 3 shows, obviously, is going to be
Golden.
gravy on that. Yeah. Okay.
But most of the year, I'm doing my comedy show, or my mentalism show, or my stage magic. And
so does it get to
show.
a point, like during the year, you're thinking, it's almost 10 or 11 months and I haven't booked a show yet for that. I better start pushing that illusion show.
Absolutely. Now, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with Paul Gross and Hocus Pocus.
No.
So hocus-pocus.com. He's the West Coast's, my favorite West Coast's large magic venue. So he sells new and used illusions and all size stage props and everything.
Oh, yes, I am familiar. That's through Facebook also. Is that right? Or not?
Yeah, he's on Facebook as well, yes. So there was a point a couple years ago, this is, I'm going to say right before COVID, where I was thinking, well, we're at that point. Here we go. The clock's ticking, and I don't have an illusion show this year on my calendar. And so I approached Paul, and I took a couple of large illusions up to his building to sell. And he sold one immediately, and another one sat there for a while. And then as soon as that sold, I got the call.
Okay.
And yes, I can do a large illusion show because I still have this, and this. But I have a couple of pieces that I've regretted, of course, parting with.
That's always the way, particularly at a certain point in your life where you start to think, I've got enough stuff, I need to start discarding some things. And as we get older, all of us will come to that point. Those younger people are saying, no, I'm still acquiring things. I cannot imagine getting rid of such and such. But the same thing like with books. If you, I love books. I've got 1,000 books literally 1,000 books in my library.
Nice.
And I keep thinking I'm going to start selling off some. I know I'm going to eventually anyhow. But I know as soon as I do, it's like, oh, I could use that. I want to go back and refer to this book because I always know where to go. I've read these books and I know what's in them and where I can go and find some things I have bookmarked, even there. And I know that they're like friends. Some are more acquaintances than friends and some are best friends. You know what I mean? So I don't know which ones to get rid of because even the acquaintances I love.
It's tough.
It is.
There's a great photo of me. It's taken, I'm going to say about 2010, 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. There's a photo of me shot from ground level, looking at me levitating in the clouds, and I'm sitting. And so the illusion was it was one of the few times that my two personalities collided. So after intermission of my large show, there'd be a drum set suddenly on the stage, and I would surprise the audience and get behind the kit and go into a solo, and then all of a sudden I would levitate off the drum set and take a snare drum with me up to
that's pretty cool.
Whatever, 15 feet in the air or whatever it was. It was great. It was and it's a beautiful illusion. So during rehearsal, I'm just in jeans and a t-shirt, the way I live in my normal life, and the photo was taken from ground level, looking up at me while I'm levitating with my drum set, or with my snare anyway. And I got so much good publicity out of that one shot that was just on the fly photo because of the angle and those perfect clouds that you couldn't, pay a
Photoshop.
It was too real to be photoshopped, right? Because it was real. And anyway, the point of this story is I no longer have that. And that's one of those things that, it took up so much space. If you know the mechanics behind that type of levitation, the space it takes to store that and everything. So I'm glad still to this day that it's in better hands.
Yeah, and you've got a recording of that, a memory of that as well. So.
Yeah, but that's something that's gone forever from my act.
What's the best way that you use to promote yourself around town and to get new clients?
Goodness.
Aside from just word of mouth.
Yeah, you know what? I keep trying to slow down. So I'm not these days, I'm not trying to build new clients.
Right.
They just find me. So yeah, that's terrible.
That is kind of funny because we work all of our lives, it seems like, trying to build clients. And then at a certain point, it's kind of like, I think I'm going to start slowing down. I don't need to do as many shows. And so you kind of know how to market, and you still have some clients coming in, and little at a time, just kind of scaling back. And like with me, I just only accept really shows from existing clients. I really don't take on new ones.
I've raised all my rates.
The same thing.
I dropped. I used to at one point. I had $400 a month on Google Ads. That was my budget for that, and I think I'm at $40 a month now.
Does that work pretty well?
I mean, Google works, but $40 a month is a pin drop. That's just a couple of clicks,
and you're done.
And you find me right away, or you don't find me.
Yeah.
So
I never had much success with Google Words.
Oh, okay.
I'd paid a lot. I was trying to do some more trade shows, and I got trade shows other ways, and it wasn't through Google.
There you go. And then everything else is social media. And somehow I'm busier than ever. So I don't know. And maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. But there's got to be some. I must have done something good about it. I'll take some of the credit
in my
somewhere.
Youth or childhood. I must have done something good.
Nice, very nice reference. So for those of us that did our startups with the Yellow Page days,
sure.
Those days are long gone. I don't. So I'm not really trying to find new clients.
So as you are going in this time of your life, what are some of your long-term goals and dreams that you still have left that you want to do, see, or accomplish?
So that question, I would say, changes from year to year. When I think I have that all solved. If you'd asked me this just a couple years ago, I would have said I want my own theater so I can move Celebrities of Magic to the next level. When I created that series 12 years ago, I trademarked the name immediately because I knew how good of a name it was.
Yeah.
And so I always thought in the back of my mind, sooner or later, I would create a Celebrities of Magic tour because it's got possibilities for that. But I haven't done that yet, so that's probably in my future somewhere. But I don't think I want my own theater anymore. I enjoy just renting the theater and walking away each.
You don't
month.
want to increase the number of shows per month. You're satisfied with just a once a month kind of a thing now.
Yeah, I'm happy with that format. If I ever completely gave up performing myself, which I don't see myself ever doing,
You'd produce other shows.
I think at that point I could go weekly. But I love being on the stage. I'm too greedy that way.
Right.
So I'm gonna be performing till I can't. I think, I don't know.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
There's some point we got to retire someday, right? I know, but it's hard. You just, when you love being on the stage and the audience keeps coming. So
Well, when you have your own theater, if you do them weekly, you can still be the MC, and you can maybe do a thing or two.
Sure, I'm not that old yet. So
No. I know. I'm talking about 20, 30 years now.
I feel like we just aged like 25, 30 years right now in this conversation.
Well, we have kind of gone the full gamut since you started as a musician at 5 and all the way up.
Yeah. So no, I did just land my 60s now. So but I turned gray early. So I've had this gray persona, or blonde gray persona for a while. So all those. Some of my, I'll tell you this. Here's a candid story just between you and me and everyone else listening. I've always been very blonde, bleach blonde for a while, and normal light blonde. But in theater, blonde is not the hippest thing in the world. So I would dye my hair darker. If you see all the younger pictures of me where I have brown hair, that's dyed hair brown to cover up blonde.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And then when I stopped dyeing my hair, it brought all the blonde highlights out first, of course, and then, the grays came through and everything else. But yeah, so very, very light blonde hair is really was my natural color until the grays took over.
Yeah. As we grow, we will never see this age, but some generations from now, I think most of the blondes in the world will no longer be blondes nor redheads. I think everyone will just have dark hair.
There you go.
In the world.
Yeah.
Well, as we close the podcast, I always like to ask my guests, of course, what's your magic word or phrase? What is it that, I don't mean like, again, abracadabra. I mean, like, what is your philosophy of life? What do you live by? What's important to you when you wake up in the morning that gives you a charge? It's like, this is what I'm going to accomplish today, or I'm thankful for this, or whatever.
Treat people like you want to be treated. Be nice, smile, have a good time. My wife reminds me to keep my blood pressure down.
Well, as long as you keep smiling, it will.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and it's try to be a nice soul.
Yeah, just live by that golden rule. Since you have golden hair,
there you
basically.
Go. Yeah, the golden rule. This is nothing new, right?
It's been around. And so have you. And thanks for sharing the stories of your travels and being around. So,
thank you. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You're welcome. I appreciate you being here. So, for the magic word, that was Ron Saylor. This is Scotty out. Thank you very much, Ron, for being my guest on this week's episode of the Magic Word Podcast. It was a joy to chat with you and to have a drink with you and to hang out with you for the whole week while we were there at the castle. A lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you again with some more quality time we can spend perhaps in a Tiki Lounge someplace down the road. And I hope to visit your Celebrity of Magic Theater. And again, if any of you are interested in getting on that waiting list and getting an opportunity to perform there, I suggest that you contact Ron Saylor and check out his website also so you know a little bit more about what you might be getting into. It looks fascinating and pretty cool. Well, I mentioned at the beginning that this episode is brought to you by the Friends of the Magic Word, and in particular, Bruce Lish, who is celebrating his birthday. And now is a good time, I think, to perhaps sing a little birthday ditty for him. So I happened to pick this up off of the internet. It was kind of fun because I plan to head to Germany later this year for Oktoberfest in September, which, by the way, if some of you who are in Germany might be listening to this and might want to show me around your local area, I would like to perhaps spend a day or two going around and maybe sampling some of the local beers with you then too. So just drop me a note and let me know, and I'd be glad to meet up with some of my listeners in Germany. Well, in the meantime, Bruce, this birthday song is for you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right.
Well, again, happy birthday, Bruce. And I know it's not until next week on the 27th of June, but we're getting a little bit of head start. You might as well celebrate the whole week. What the heck, huh? Well, listen, I want to remind everybody, please, to like, subscribe, and to share, and let everyone in the world know about the Magic Word Podcast so we can help gain more listeners like you who are committed then as well. And if you haven't already joined us on the pod letter, so this way you know what's coming up from week to week, please do that. Go to themagicwordpodcast.com. You should see a little pop-up that will come up there, and you can then subscribe. And I just let you know each week what's happening on the podcast and who's coming up from week to week. And also, you're the first one to know about the contest whenever we have something that's going to be coming up that we're going to be giving away. So until next week, stay well, get booked, and remember to keep smiling and be nice to everyone. This is Scotty out.